London. Hello from
Hello,
London.
hello.
Welcome to the London edition
Of Luxury Unedited.
And I can't be more excited than I am today because I have somebody that I look up to and who's a real fashion icon.
Well, she's a bit of a retail,
She's a
like
bit of a
queen,
retail
luxury
queen.
icon.
We'd like to welcome Elizabeth Von Der Goltz.
Woo!
Thank you so much for being with us today. It really, honestly, when I, obviously we're all about luxury, and when I wanted to do something with a fashion, head of fashion, I said there was only one person.
The game changer.
Well, thank you very much. I feel very honored to be on your show.
Oh, thank you so much. We really are thrilled to have you.
Yeah, I mean, your bio just goes on and on in terms of you've really been in all the iconic kind of retail stores, from Lane Crawford to Bergdorf to Net-a-Porter, Match the lot.
Not Lane
everything.
Crawford.
Yeah.
Oh,
no?
Not Lane
Oh, you
Crawford.
weren't at Lane Crawford.
What were you?
Barney's. I started at
Barney's.
Barney's.
Barney's,
That's
right.
Of course. See, she's trying to remember everything.
Barney's was my go-to in
store.
New York.
Yeah.
I think
It was the person, not at Lane Crawford, it was the person from Joyce in Hong Kong
That's
who
it.
first told me to move to New York if I wanted to go into fashion.
Yeah.
I see you
So,
as a New
yeah.
York
Yes,
person.
how did you? I mean, and I think every little girl or every girl that wants to go into fashion, she's like,
Or guy, come on.
Okay, or guy, but always it's, how do I get into it? What is the right steps? I mean, do you sort of fall into it, or do you think I'm going to go and be a buyer and then work my way up, or I'm just going to start on the top floor? There's no path.
Some people think fashion, I'm going to be a designer, but it's good for people to know there's
so many choices within. I mean, I just think it's totally different today because I think now people know what's available. So you can go into the financial, commercial part of it. You can go into design. You can go into marketing. You can go to editorial. You can go to journalism. I mean, it's like there's so many parts of fashion. True. But when I grew up, fashion wasn't a job.
No,
right? I mean, my family's very old school Chinese. Everyone has a PhD. Fashion was literally not a job.
Because I know your mother was one of the only women in a class in Harvard, right? So so how did they receive that when you said, "Oh, I'm not going to do any of this. I want to go into fashion"?
And my parents are very different. They both went to university and graduate school in the States, and I think they're very liberal in the sense, and they love creativity. They love art. They've always traveled to collect art. They've always loved fashion. So I think they were both in economics and science. But I think because of that, they actually love that my brother and I were really into liberal arts. So literature. My brother graduated with a degree in philosophy.
Wow.
He's a lawyer. I graduated in a degree in art history. So they already knew that we were going to be different. Yeah, exactly.
And so you left Hong Kong.
Yeah, I left Hong Kong. I went to school in the States. I went to boarding school and then university in the States. And I really never knew what I wanted to do. Everyone in university, they do those job fairs and they all have their job lined up after they graduate. I had no job lined up after I graduated because I was I really don't know what to do. I had interned at Christie's in New York because I love art. But then I decided after that I love art so much I didn't want to deal with it. Yeah. I like to just appreciate art. It's such a different thing when you're in the business. Yeah. And then I had a friend from boarding school whose sister she was the chief merchant of Joyce Hong Kong. And Joyce Hong Kong in those days, it was Joyce Ma. It was the mecca of just taste. And she brought every famous designer to Asia, actually. So I said, can I meet your sister? So then I was back in Hong Kong after school and I met his sister. And I said, if I want to become you, or I want to do what you do, what should I do? Yeah. And she said, move to New York.
Okay.
So
wow. And the rest is history.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the rest is
history. I don't want to touch too much on your past.
But what I was interested in is the Bergdorf bit, because you actually, it wasn't just about buying, it was also about nurturing a lot of the young brands and bringing them up to a place where they could grow and settle, which we'll touch on later, but I love that side of what you do as well.
Yeah, and that's the part about the business, I think, being in that brings you the most exactly. It's I think the health of the industry and its sustainability and how it's making it long lasting. I mean, these are the things that you have to do.
Exciting as well.
Also, I mean, the one thing that just because I've been lucky enough to know you on a friendship level as well, is your nurturing of people, and also you're a champion of women, which I love as well. So in terms of
absolutely.
That's wonderful.
So now you've got this big fancy title.
yeah.
CEO
Of
Browns,
darling.
and you're the Chief Fashion and Merchandising Officer Farfetch.
Farfetch, wow.
That's two big roles.
That's
I think got you
huge
for the
role.
two for the
It's
price
been
of one.
very busy. So,
Yeah.
exactly. A lot of hats.
Which is why we're also super grateful that you've managed to make the time to fit in with us here.
I mean, Browns, I don't know about when you were growing up. Browns for me, especially at uni, we used to dress up, we'd come into London, we'd like see what's what. It was our place to discover.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I
Browns,
feel like we've
was
missed
something
that. So I'm
different.
hoping Elizabeth's going to bring that back.
You are going to bring that back.
I mean, as you know, we talked about nurturing new designers and finding and discovering talent, and I think that's one of the favorite, of the work a buyer does or a merchant does. That's usually the most fun part, right?
Yeah.
So usually you sit there with spreadsheets and numbers, but that part about finding new talent. And Mrs. Bernstein, I mean, she was a legend, right? She was a true icon.
Yeah.
I remember sitting next to her at shows when I was a baby buyer and just being like, oh. So I think, for me, it's having this iconic store and also now the power of Farfetch that drives our technology. I feel like we can really do something special. And it will be about bringing back curation, really making it about a discovery of new talent, but also the best of the established brands and how we style things and how things look, and bringing that experience, like that real physical experience into the store, but then how do we also reflect that on the app and on the site.
Could we talk a little bit about that, the bricks and mortar versus the online? Because I'm still someone that
loves to try things on and to touch fabric and quality.
I'm quite a visual experience person. So when I do go into let's say Browns, it's everything. It's the smell, the colours, the fabrics, everything.
And it's such a beautiful build. It's a grade 2 listed building.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So I'm not sure that there's a lot that you can do in
it's
there.
Amazing. You can't touch the walls, and we have original wallpaper, and we have all this kind of really beautiful, the murals and things. But there's other things you can do to the space.
I mean, I really went in and spent quite a bit of time there, and the girls. There was one girl that she was
fantastic.
exceptional and upstairs. So she had. I want to touch on what you said, because I've said this all along. Every time now you go down to a major high street, you see, Prada, Dior, Chanel, everything. There's nobody's taste anymore. There's no curation of a mixture of the best of certain designers, so that you're not dressed top to toe in one designer, and that is, I think, going to be a one-stop shop for me.
Yeah.
And that curated, that sort of like that beloved curated boutique that existed in the day. A lot of our favorites or the iconic ones are gone.
Yeah.
So, for me, I'm like, okay, let's make that. Let's make it like, want Browns to be, when anyone comes, whoever lives in London comes all the time, but whoever lives out of town, every time they come to London, they have to go. They have to stop by.
Yeah. So your first 100 days is going to be about curation.
Yeah, it's product strategy. A lot of back of house too, because we want to make sure that operationally and logistically that we're set up to have the best service. All these things have to. That foundation has to be super strong, and then you can make the product sing.
So I don't
make the product sing.
Make the product sing like that. So on purpose. With that, and I just went into the store so that I could see a shopping experience.
Not so she could just go shopping.
Yeah.
It
was for work. It was for work.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to tell you, it worked beautifully. From downstairs, the gentleman in jewellery, who was super helpful, to upstairs, the young lady that helped me, she was really.
I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, and it was beautiful. And she what I liked was she very quickly understood the things I liked, so she was able to pull out different things from me. So
That's
it made
smart.
it a very good shopping experience.
Yeah, so you touched on people around you. I guess your team is going to be really important as well around you, and that curation of your team and getting the best out of them, which is what you were talking about in terms of championing.
Yes, you're championing.
What do you look for in terms of your team?
It's building the right team is everything, right? Yeah. Because you have to realize you can't do everything yourself. So it's all about delegation and trust, and really having a team that understands
your vision,
my vision, how I work, but also I want them to have a voice. Like, I want someone to always, you need diversity in the room. So you need someone to disagree with you. You need someone to throw different ideas out. And I think you need a mix of people on your team that don't all agree.
I
think
like to
that's
call
really
it
important.
aces in their places, and
Yeah,
I think you
yeah.
do that very well.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
yes, and you can't have everybody that just wants to agree with you, because you have to see things from different perspectives. That's also how you learn and grow.
Yeah, and then feed into the bigger strategy in terms of Browns and Farfetch. How do the two interplay between Browns and Farfetch?
Well, Browns, as you know, it was acquired by Farfetch, right? So they power all our logistics, our technology, and all that. And I think for me, Browns being whole, so we buy, whereas then Farfetch is a marketplace, so they don't buy. So Browns is really where you it's the jewel in the crown, is how I see it, right? So we can be curated, we can really like create this experience and this strategy over the product and the buy and the designers that we want to really showcase. And that's much more controlled, because you literally are choosing every single item that goes on the site. You're choosing what goes into the campaigns, our content, all of that, and the physical activations within the store that we're going to plan quite a few of, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
And then for Farfetch, it's a marketplace. So we work with multi-brand boutiques globally, and then we work directly with brands as well. And it's been pretty agnostic in terms of what ends up on the site. And so what I've come in to do and build it and work with the team there is now it's not like we select per se, but actually go in and be more proactive on what comes onto our site. So then we're better able to speak to it with our private clients, with our content and our campaigns, and really build that relationship to much tighter with the brand, to make sure we're ensuring that we get the best of the best and the widest onto the site.
Yeah, so people understand Farfetch. I think there always needs to be a personality to a site.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes it gets too big, and it's hard to, like you say, as a marketplace, it's kind of hard to condense that and refine it. So it's interesting to see how you will sit across the two.
And we Farfetch, because of the width of and the breadth of our assortment, in the end of the day, we don't have a specific most retailers have specific customers that they're buying for. We're really democratic. We're really buying for globally, all kinds of customers, but also with segmentation, with technology, with AI, with personalization, we're able to really, better target everyone versus everyone having to see everything on the site. So I think it's about just continuing to refine that whole process.
What's your vision for the Browns customer? Who is that person, or do you also want to keep that?
No, I think we've come down to the sort of 3 customer profiles.
One, two.
Yeah. And I think it's that what's interesting about the Browns and Farfetch is actually 75% of our customers are millennial and under. So we have a much younger audience, which is what everyone else is looking for, which is great.
Yeah.
But I think for Browns, it's really about it's the emotional special pieces from those brands that you already know. So all the big brands, the established brands, but trying to show things that you're not going to see when you walk into their boutique or a big department store, with a blend of their top key items, which you always want as commercial drivers, and then a lot of this discovery emerging talent. And then it's about how we mix it, how we style it. So it's about saying, if you're bringing a new designer in and your customer doesn't know how to wear that new trend or that new piece, it's really saying this is how it fits into your wardrobe.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think that customer,
is important.
Yeah. And for me, the Browns customer, it's going to be that luxury customer that we all know and love, but they're I like to think of them a little more edgy, a little bit more cool, more progressive, likes to try new things, doesn't mind taking risks. I think we're all about taking risks as well
absolutely.
at Browns. It's something that Mrs. B started with.
You should have seen the jump I was wearing before.
Yes,
that was
take
taking
risk.
Yes.
That was a huge risk.
Yeah.
But also, what I like is you touched on something about adding things into the wardrobe. And I think sustainability as well is a huge thing for you.
Yeah. But what does that mean to you, both as Elizabeth as a person and what you buy and your choices, and then Elizabeth as the CEO of Browns? How I just find we've talked about this before, haven't we, in our last episode, sustainability. Yes. What does it mean?
It means so many things, right? Because it involves not just physical material things, right? So it also is people, diversity, inclusivity. So it means a lot of things. So I think, first, for me personally, if all of us want longevity, we want health for the planet, and we want the new generations to have something to live for and hope for. So I think those are the kind of the bigger long term ways of looking at it. And personally, it's about trying to be as circular as possible. recycling as much as you possibly can, not being wasteful. I mean, I think those things are super important. And then, in fashion, obviously, we are about consumption, and I love buying clothes and shoes and bags and things, and we do sell those to our customer to try and excite them and delight them. But at the same time, it's about pieces that can last forever, right? Things that are going to be in your closet forever that you pass down. So it's a blend of that. And then we really champion designers who are really conscious about their supply chain, their materials, how they, who they're working with, who the artisans, craftsmen, all of that. So I think that really is a big part of what we do. And at Browns, we have a conscious edit. So on the site, on the app, you can always find, the edit that's conscious. That, And really championing the brands and designers who are going or taking that route, and then also educating the ones who want to take that route and are trying to learn how. Yeah.
So that's.
And sorry to jump a little bit, but the new talent bit is something that always excites me, because I'm very involved with mentoring talent.
You always have been, because you do the fashion.
And actually we met very briefly with FTA.
Oh, in Doha?
With Zaid Afas. I was like, you've got to see this guy, you've got to see this guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if there was anything, like from a Browns or your individual perspective, that if there was like top 3 bits of advice for an upcoming designer, what would it be?
It's really important that, think about how many brands there are out there. So the competition is massive, right? And no matter what your site is or your shop is, there's X amount of space for you to live in. So it's really about like someone who really has a DNA that's different, an individual, and something that stands out, and they have a signature. And I think when we look at new designers, those signatures that come through, I want them to be strong enough that 10 years from now or 20 years from now, as they evolve and change over season to season, you can still call out who they are and recognize who the designer is. When you think about the greatest designers.
An ethos, right? It's also, it's like you can tell a Prada piece back then till now.
Absolutely.
You know their DNA almost.
Exactly. So I think that's really important to really, I guess, stand out from the noise and really stand out to...
and not be wavered by it, I think, because I think a lot of people then, if they have, they try and sort of waver from it, or they get scared by if one season it's not as strong as that, so they think, okay, we have to change everything. But no, actually, if you just improve on what you started and keep your brand identity, I think you stand.
They try to grow too quickly. I think that's the problem. They don't try and redefine and improve like what their key looks are.
Yeah, and I think it's challenging, because imagine if you're successful your first few seasons, you've sold to a lot of key retailers in the world. They all give you feedback.
Yeah,
and they all come from a different region. They all have a different customer, so they give them so much feedback. And I think feedback is super important.
Yeah.
Because you want to know who your customer is.
But
you want to shopping, but you also you have to be like, okay, I'm going to take this feedback and use it in the most constructive way and somehow filter it so that you're not watering down your brand identity.
Yeah.
So that's that balance.
Thoughts on Mina Talent? Is there anyone that jumps out at you? Mina as in
the
Middle East.
Obviously from FTA we worked with quite a few of them, which was like Zaid exactly.
Zaid,
and then I would say right now I think there are there's the Renaissance.
Yes,
that collection,
Renaissance,
which I think is quite beautiful.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
You've always supported her from the beginning.
And Net-a-Porter, she was in our Vanguard program.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Regionally, where do you see the new hub of talent?
Oh, nice question, Misha. I like that.
Well, they start.
Just good hair. Not just good hair, darling.
Well, I think everyone's excited after COVID. No one traveled for so long, so I think my team is thrilled to go back to all the international fashion weeks because no one had gone to Australia.
Actually,
to Seoul.
I miss seeing you at fashion weeks. It was just like, what's Elizabeth wearing today?
I'll be back in September.
Yes, I can't wait. Yes.
Yeah. So no, I did a few men's shows, just a few this summer, but it was quite funny great being back. Yeah. But I think everyone's excited to hit those global markets again because they haven't been able to do it. They've been doing it online. So Shanghai, Seoul, even I think the team Browns was supposed to do something with Lagos when COVID happened. So all these, So I think we're just excited to get back on the road. It's really about hitting these new, not new, but more global markets to really understand what's out there.
And not forgetting London though as a creative hub.
London's one of the best.
Yeah,
London's one of the best. I mean, these are where I was literally talking the other day about it. London's where the designers here are all still independent.
Yes.
And that's something that's why they have such a strong brand identity.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they haven't, like, they stay, like, you know, it's not like they're massive businesses, but they're healthy, good, long-lasting businesses. And I think, you know, what's nice is most of them, they have investors, but they've kept their businesses. It's their own.
That's very important, I think.
Yeah, because it's not just, I mean, we talk a lot. I mean, I do mentor a lot of new talent, but actually it's the mid-range, the medium-sized businesses that still need a lot of support, and it never ends, does it?
No,
I'm
it
sure
never
you're
ends.
always...
Because every stage, it's like when you are hot when you first launch, right?
Yeah.
Then you get to few million. How do you get to 5 million? Getting from 5 million then to 10 million is completely different. And then from 10 to scale, it takes so much more. So it's like...
And 10 to scale normally takes outside investments.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then those outside investments come with their own ideas because they only see the bottom line, right? So
Yeah.
they want you to
Finding the
adapt
right
to certain
partner,
things. So you have to find the right partner.
Yeah.
It becomes so but I mean fashion is sometimes you think, oh my God, does anybody make any money in the fashion industry? And it's like,
LVMH does.
yeah, exactly. LVMH.
Yeah. We had a question for Elizabeth.
We did.
We were like, new brands.
New brands.
We were like, who do we look out for in terms of new brands? Globally, doesn't matter that we should keep an eye on and just like...
I mean, the brand has been around for a long time, but like with Harris Reed at Nina Ricci, we're all, you know, excited about that. I think that's been a really kind of
What did you...
brand.
Can I ask a naughty question?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like any of us can stop
no,
you,
I mean,
Misha.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like in terms of new designers going into established brands, for instance, with Gabriella went to Chloe and she's no longer at Chloe. Like, who do you think will then... Who do you see stepping up?
In the new generation? I mean, it's interesting because when you look at new young designers and you bring them on board, that is one of the other things besides that DNA. It's something about like, you also know if you nurture them, they're going to be the ones that end up at in another house. Like they could be. There's 50% or higher chance that they're going to end up at one of the bigger houses one day, you know. So I think that's why it is important to like really help them in the beginning, because it's when you get there, it's a whole different way of working. Ballgame, right? Yeah. I mean, I think Peter Doe is someone who's super talented. God, my
favorite jacket comes from Peter Doe. I think you wear a lot of Peter Doe.
Yeah, I love it. I think Grace Wills Bonner is a super strong designer. I mean, there's Bianca Saunders. I think there's in the men's world, there's actually so much going on there as well in terms of talent.
Actually, men's fashion, actually a lot of seasons, I think I would want to buy from the men's collections than the women's.
But did you see the Dries men's collection?
Yeah.
I literally was like, I want every single one of those.
It was fantastic.
But I kind of like that androgynous kind of look.
Yeah, I
love it.
Right.
Korean fashion, championing women, macro trends. Are there any big trends that we're looking out for?
I think with brands, one thing for us, it's a lot about individuality. So it's about how we bring that out with styling and everything versus being so trend driven.
Yeah.
I think
that's very refreshing to hear.
Versus being like trend. But I do think the things that have come through for this fall and going forward actually probably relate to all of us, but there's this kind of return to this quiet luxury, which is then more forever pieces, things that are really investment pieces that live in your closet forever. And then we
best
went
brand for that, in your opinion? For me, is somebody like the Row.
I mean, the Row is joining Browns finally, which we're very excited about. I mean, I've been very close to the brand from the day they launched. And they do it in terms of high level.
In terms of the basic, I mean, luxury basics.
But then you have a lot of brands that, like Totem and other ones that are on the other side of the spectrum. And the value you get for the quality and the look is really fantastic. And one of the other ones too is, there was this overt sexiness that sort of came out in the past few years. I feel like that's dying down a bit. The hems are coming down. I think it's a bit more like, you still want to be feminine and sexy, but in a much more kind of...
Can I cover my stomach?
Yeah.
There's a lot of it. The crop top thing killed me.
I don't know. I've never been able to quite grasp that kind of... Also, as women, I just want someone to design for me where I can wear a bra and have pockets.
Yeah, well, you'll be it's a good season.
Good season.
I mean, that's actually later on when we come to the questions.
We had a lot
of people saying, we need clothes that really work for us as we get older. We not all of us have 20-year-old perfect.
Well, I think
bodies.
the sexy. It's interesting though, because you think about economic cycles, and I think when you come out of something like COVID, there's a time where like it's like the depression, like all of a sudden it's like people just
go wild.
They want to go wild. They want to be overt, and however that. So like you always get this cycle that happens.
The funny thing is, everybody did it, because I remember even Chanel brought out this when they straight after COVID, it was all these crop tops and really tight.
Well, I certainly did.
And I saw women that were my age like wearing it, and I'm thinking, no, really, no, this is wrong. I know it's Chanel, but no, it just didn't work.
So you have these cycles where it's going to come out, and people feel like they want to show everything. They're proud, and there's like they want to be expressive, but I think what's nice is coming into fall. It's going to be, extreme hemlines also, so lots of maxi, like
that was a good look on me.
Yeah, good dramatic, maxi, which I love with a long coat and things like that. But still, like some beautiful bright colors in. Yeah. It's just a little more dress. I mean, men's too. Like it's like jackets. Like it's like not just sneakers. It's just shoes. It's like
I'm over
I'm
hoodie
over the grunge and the hoodie. I'm over the hoodie and the sweatpant look and everything like that.
I think it's time for our top
five.
Oh goodness! Okay.
Top
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready?
Okay.
And then I have a really lovely question.
Okay.
So our top 5. So we tend to ask our audience what are the questions?
Okay.
And they send us through a whole bunch of questions. Okay. Are you ready?
Okay.
Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. So question number 1. How do you see a marketplace like FF evolve in the next 5 years within the luxury world? I think we kind of answered that.
I think the goal is to be the dominant luxury platform, and really for me, it's really where I want to also have it inspire the fashion customer.
Nice.
So today you go and find everything on it because it's going to be there, but it's like we want to also make sure we're the first place to go.
Can I interject with that? Because as much as I love browns, when I used to shop at Farfetch, but then it just became a bit overwhelming for me because everything was on there. So and now, for instance, I wanted to find a bag, and it was 5 different prices. So I know, because that's a platform of 5 different stores everywhere. So I would like that somehow to be made consolidated, and I think hopefully that's what you're going to do.
Yeah. Well, lots to come. So.
Lots to come.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that was the diplomatic
answer. That's the way of saying Misha. I'm not saying anything else.
Do you want to read out number 2?
What do I?
I'll read out number 2.
Because I've got my own question.
Oh, darling. Do you see any progress made in terms of diversity and equity in the fashion industry? Seems like things are stalling a bit. What's your point of view, and how can change be more tangible?
I absolutely do, but I think because I'm a champion of it. So, and I think everywhere I've been, whenever we can commit or make a pledge, we will do that if it comes to diversity. And I think so much is, when it's Black and Fashion Council, 15% pledge, right? Raise Fashion is something a few of my ex-colleagues and I founded after, this in the summer of 20. Yeah. And that's all.
Is that what we call it now? The summer of 20.
Well, I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah.
So I think one of your designers, just won an award or something, no, from Raised or no?
Well, we just did a brand fellowship. Yes. So one of the programs is what we do is we provide funding and 360 mentorship for I think 8 to 10 designers a year, and so they're all fantastic. Sayo is one of them. Anyway, so Awet is another one. Yeah. And then we also do and this is mostly U.S. based, and hopefully will grow internationally. We also do an internship program between the historic Black colleges and all these luxury brands that are based in New York and LA with the Anti-Racism Fund. Okay. And usually what you get is that really helps the pipeline of talent for the big luxury brands, because usually living in LA or New York or living in any city, like even London, Paris, for an internship it's inhibitive cost-wise. So we also try to fund that through this internship program. And then you're really creating a pipeline of more diverse talent to go into the luxury industry.
Let us know how we can support you.
Especially in the MENA region.
Yeah,
of course, we'd love to. We'd love to.
Okay, so number 3. After the recent successful appointment of Pharrell Williams as men's creative director for Louis Vuitton, do you think we will be seeing more music producers being appointed at the helm of fashion luxury maison over the next 5 years?
I think that popular culture and music culture is so much part of what's happening today, and it really makes our fashion industry universe much more, I think, diverse and inclusive. So I think that is super important. I think that, so I think we will see more of it in the kind of the more the biggest houses, like really commercial houses. I think collaborations and things like that.
Where it's a world.
But there's still going to be those, the couture houses that are really going to always have like that designer that's, super inspirational and a beautiful artisan and
because they've always influenced each other throughout history. Like music has always been a big part of fashion and vice versa. But I think this is like taking.
I understand it. I'm not a big fan of it. Collaborations with him, I think, like he did with Chanel, were fantastic. But as the whole creative head,
I think he did it. I think for his first show, I really thought he did an incredible job. Like I really think when you think about Louis Vuitton being like primarily a non-apparel, like an accessory business, I think he hit that out of the ballpark. And I think he created the buzz that they wanted for the brand.
But that's the thing, he's an entertainer, so that show is always going to be amazing. But I'm interested in seeing
how
the next
forward.
Forward.
I agree. I think it had a great start, and we'll see as it goes forward. But I think he's such a creative, interesting person. So again, it's nice bringing that talent into fashion.
Well, also, who else were you going to bring?
Like after Virgil.
It's really hard after Virgil.
Really hard.
Very big shoes to fill.
Exactly.
Okay, next question.
Well, what do you want as next question?
Okay, this is quite an interesting one. There's a lot of innovation and new technologies out there with the potential to revolutionize the fashion industry. What are you most excited about in terms of technology?
I mean, I'm a big believer in AI.
You are.
Yeah. I think if you look at how much change has happened in the past 20 years, like, and everyone doesn't really remember, like, there used to be telegrams and now we have an iPhone, right? So, like, this change isn't even that big. It's just, it's already happening. And I think with fashion, in terms of, like, you're saying, you're trying to look through so much product all the time. This personalization, this recommendation, all of that. And even code, like, things that are so much technology, when you want to change one thing on a site, you know how much, and it takes a long time for the coding and engineering. And now, like, all the stuff, I think can be powered by AI and helped by AI. And even the way we work every day. But I think it will take the human touch as well, and the human strategy and all this stuff. So it's a blend. But I think, I think it's going to be huge.
So, two things actually. One of them that are keep athletic wear in the gym and less of it on the side.
I'm just checking if I'm wearing any.
But also more individuality and less of a uniform, which is the curation, I think.
Yeah, and it's the styling, it's the mixing. It's not the head to toe, and I think that's what Browns has always stood for.
So that ran the thread all the way through. They want more of it, because I think you go everywhere, you end up dressing.
Well, I think the way when you walk into a department store, because of the concession model, how it works is they end up being store boutiques, right? So it's brand.
So it's brand in brand. Yeah,
exactly.
Like store in
and then
store,
when you go into a high street, then or a main street, it's by brand. So again, this idea of these multi-brand boutiques in the world, there are less and less of them. So that's why having a Browns is so important, having these destinations, because that is where you're going to mix, and you're not going to just show everything in the shop-in-shop design of that one brand. You're going to show it mix. You're going to show it by themes. You're going to show how you should wear it together.
Well, what I loved, especially in Browns this time, was that like the designers were all in one room, and all mixed with each other. So that, now for instance, if you go into a big department store that I won't name, if I want a jacket from Celine to see if I can match it with something from Saint Laurent, I actually have to take a member of staff.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
you have to walk, darling.
No, I have to take a member of staff.
Because they all work for their own brand.
I see. It's like a shop and shop.
So we have stylists, like we call them stylists in the store.
Yes, and they're fine. So because sometimes I don't want to go out dressed from top to toe looking like one.
And even the private client, a private client business on Farfetch is impressive and massive. And they curate, they edit for all their clients. There's a private client app that's separate, which is much more curated as well.
And also they have the most amazing events.
Yes, they do.
Amazing.
Yes, that's right. I'm doing one co-hosting one in Shelter Island.
Actually,
this week. That's why I'm leaving.
There was one at Wimbledon. I was like,
we know you dumped us for that. We know.
No. And my question to you is.
Oh.
I have a question for you. If you had to choose one designer only.
This is the worst question.
It is the worst for your night, for your day wear, your evening wear, your lounge,
Oh, I'll do one like this one because I have to also be politically correct when it comes to these things.
Oh, that's true. Yes, exactly.
No.
Sorry, I forgot about that.
No. I'll name one that actually I haven't even seen yet, but I'm extremely excited for Phoebe Philo.
Oh
yes,
yes,
yes.
I'm excited.
I'm
about
excited
that.
for that. I mean,
So,
she was.
I mean,
incredible.
I'm sure I'm going to want to be in it all the time, head to toe, but I haven't
Yeah.
seen it yet, so I don't know.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! When will that be seen?
I mean, I think. Well, originally they said it'll be this fall, I believe.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be January, but I think it's this
She's
fall.
amazing. Okay, so I'll ask a more politically correct question for you.
Yeah.
Your top 5 designers
Top 5 designers.
that you like to
Yeah,
wear.
yeah.
That
So-
as a woman,
Yeah.
you know, from
Yeah,
that
so
you
I
like
love
to wear.
Celine.
You can include
I
jewelry
Celine.
as
Yeah,
well.
I love
or
Celine. I love Alaya, and I love Bottega Veneta.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I also love the Row.
Yes.
Jewelry, I have too many. It's like
Yeah,
I
too
literally, I like Harwell Godfrey. I mean, there's so
Yeah,
many.
there's so many.
Caroline Bucci. There's
Yeah.
so many.
And just for fun, if there was a high street store, what would be your high street store? Mid-range.
No.
Misha's
no,
like,
no.
I mean, I'm probably Uniqlo.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that would be mine.
The
as
best
well.
basics.
Be
The
Chanel
best
and
basic.
Uniqlo.
Yeah, and I believe
Yeah.
I live in heat tech in the winter.
Yeah, of course. Me too.
Yeah,
I-
under
actually-
everything.
Actually, in all honesty,
Yeah.
most British summers I live
Yeah,
in heat tech
yeah,
as well,
yeah,
but the lighter
exactly,
one as
yeah.
well because I get cold all the
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
So, what are you most excited about in this role?
I'm most excited about. Everything about our future. It's really about. I think.
Yeah.
Well, a few things. This whole idea of this really bringing back that curated
Curation.
global destination boutique, but then also, I don't think that the question of omni-channel has truly been answered, and I think the Browns ecosystem is small enough, and then we have the technology of Farfetch. So I really believe that between the store, the app, the site, we can really create like a true omni-channel experience.
Oh my god!
That's
and
it. That is a great place to
that is
end.
a great
Yeah.
place to end. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much for your
I'm
time.
most excited about you being at the end of this because
Me
I think
too.
it'll
I
just be
cannot
amazing.
wait.
And seeing you back at the shows.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
just the love that I have for Browns, just from
Yes.
being a kid as well. I'm so excited
Well,
about
expect
this.
you to be in our top customers very soon.
Yes, we will
yeah.
be. I'm going to have to borrow Ali's credit card.
Really?
No, thank you for having me on the show. It's been
Oh, we
really fun.
absolutely
Thank you
love
so
it.
much.
Thank you
Take
so much,
care.
Elizabeth.